So I'm just picking a worksheet that has some different examples on it to demonstrate some of these ideas. So anytime you have a triangle, the angles in any triangle always add up to 180 degrees, okay? I call that the triangle angle sum theorem. That's how I shorthand it. So this right here is 90 degrees, okay? So I know that that's 90. So if I needed to find these x's, I know that if I take all of the angles, 2x minus 9, and I add it with 3x plus 4, and I add it with 90, that altogether, all three angles need to add to a total of 180 degrees. Then I would solve. I'm going to clean this up. So I'm going to get a 5x. I have a -9 plus 4, which is a -5, plus 90 is going to be a positive 85 when I do that math. And then equals 180. I'm going to subtract 85 from both sides. I'm going to end up getting 95. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 5. 5 goes into 9 once, which is going to leave me with 445, so 18. 19. I apologize. 19. And that is my answer for x. Now, if they wanted us to find the angles, I would put 19 in for my x's and work it out. So for example, I would go 2 times 19 minus 9, do that math. Over here, I go 3 times 19 plus 4 and do that math if they wanted us to find the angles. And like a justification, again, why did I do what I did? Because the angles in a triangle add to 180, or triangle angle sum theorem. Other angle relationships is when we have parallel lines, okay? So when we have parallel lines, so we've got this parallel line and this parallel line, cut by a transversal. The transversal is just another line that cuts it. We have different relationships. So the two angles that they gave us here, this angle here, which is an interior angle, and this angle here, which is an interior also, but they're alternate interior angles. So alternate interior angles, when you have parallel lines cut by a transversal, are congruent, we say. So I would take 10x minus 11, and I would set it equal to 8x plus 3 because they have to equal the same thing, and then I'd solve. So I'd minus 8x from both sides and get 2x minus 11 equals 3. I'm going to add 11 to both sides. I get a 14, divide by 2, and I get a 7. And that would be my x, and then I could put 7 into x in both of those angles and come up with the actual value. And again, what is my justification for what I wrote? That when we have parallel lines cut by a transversal, alternate interior angles are congruent. And again, when we say interior, we're talking about ones that are inside the two parallel lines, but they are not on the same side of the transversal. They're on opposites. We call them alternate interior angles. Okay. On number 3, this one here is where we have what we call a straight angle. And that's when we get two angles that form a straight line, basically. And if I was to take these two angles, the sum of these is going to equal 180 degrees. Okay, we call that supplementary, but when they form a straight line, we call them a straight angle, and they add to 180. So I take 110 degrees, I add it with 5x plus 5 degrees, set equal to 180 degrees, and work it out. So I'm going to get 5x plus 115 equals 180. I'm going to minus 115 from both sides. So let's see, I'm going to end up, so 20, 60. So I end up with 65. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 5, and I end up getting 13 for my answer. And again, the justification, together, these form what we call a straight angle, okay, which is a straight line, and that adds up to 180 degrees. Just trying to go through different situations with you. Again, I have parallel lines cut by a transversal. Oops, I was going to do it in. Cut by a transversal. So I have that happening. But within this, you'll notice that I have a straight angle here. These together form a line. So because these are going to be a straight angle, that means they're going to add to 180 degrees together. So we're going to take 4x minus 2 and add it with 6x minus 8, and together they add to 180. So if I clean that up, I'm going to get 10x minus 10 equals 180. I'm going to add 10 to both sides, so I get 190. I divide by 10, so I get 19. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 19 in to this equation right here. Not equation, but that expression. Let me change the color. Let me do it in orange. Okay. So I'm just going to do the math down here. So I'm going to go 6 times 19 minus 8. So let's see, that's going to be 451. So at 5, 4, 115 minus 8. So I'm going to get 107 here. Okay, I'm going to get 107. And so that means that this one here would have been 107 degrees. Now that angle right here that I'm going to mark in orange, and this one that has the Y, when they're in the same position in a parallel line cut by a transversal, what do I mean by that? Both of them are above their parallel line, and both of them are to the right of the transversal. We call these corresponding angles. So when we've got parallel lines cut by a transversal and we have corresponding angles, they are congruent. So that means that my Y has to be the same as that 107. They're going to be equal to each other. Okay, on one like this, the minute you see this symbol, that tells you that this is 90 degrees. Okay, that's a symbol for 90 degrees, right angle. Now, a couple ways you can think about this. You can think about this angle plus this angle plus this angle, that all three of these add to 180 because they form a straight angle. But if I have 90 degrees used up, that means that these together are going to be 90. And we call that complementary angles. So I'm going to use that idea. So complementary angles add to 90 degrees because I know that what's left would be 90 out of 180. So I am going to take 3x minus 6 plus x minus 4, and together those two have to be 90. So I get 4x minus 10 equals 90. I divide by 10, I get 4x equals 100. I divide by 4 and I get 25. Okay, and we call that complementary angles because they add to they add to 90. So in this situation here, we have 3 angles in a triangle. Remember, 3 angles in a triangle add up to 180. So I'm going to take my x plus 3, which is angle C. I'm going to add 2x plus 4, which is angle A. And I'm going to add angle T, which is 4x minus 2, and set that equal to 180. So let's see, I end up with 7x plus 5 equals 180. I divide by 5 and I subtract 5, I get 175. I divide by 7, so that'd be 2 goes in 14, I get 3, so 25 is what I get. So then it asks us to find each of these. So I'm going to put 25 in for each of these. So this is going to be 25 plus 3, which is 28. This is going to be 2 times 25 plus 4, so that's 50 plus 4, so 54. 4 times 25 is 100, minus 2 is going to be 98. So the longest one would be 98. The middle one is 54, and the shortest one is 28 degrees. This is what we call the triangle inequality property. And we want to figure out if this can form a triangle, these sides. So what you're going to do is I'm going to look at one side, okay? And I'm going to take the other two sides and I'm going to add them. And I am going to subtract them. And so this right here, this one, okay? 1, which is, again, that one that was the side, has to be in between the 7 and the 1, in between, not equal to. So this one's not possible. If I'm on one like this, again, I'm just going to take one of them. So let's just take I just take the last one. So I'm going to add 1 and 5 and get 6. I'm going to take 5 and 1 and subtract and get 4. So this number here, this 3, has to be in between 4 and 6. And it's not. So not going to form a triangle. Okay, so let's say I'm using the 10 as a side. I want to figure out if it works. So I'm going to take 4 plus 8, which is 12. I'm going to take 8 minus 4. So I'm adding them and subtracting them, and I get a 4. And so this 10 here has to be in between 4 and 12. So this one is good. This is a yes. It would form a triangle. This one here, let's say I'm looking at the 5. So I'm going to take 4 plus 4, which is 8. I'm going to take 4 minus 4, which is 0. And again, we're focused on this 5. Is this 5 in between the sum and the difference? So the difference was 0. The sum is 8. So this is a yes. And this that I was just using, we call the triangle inequality theorem. Just looking to see just a couple other ideas. Just this isn't asking us to find x, but when we have a situation like this, where basically we have 2 intersecting lines, the angles, the opposite angles, are going to be congruent. So these are called vertical angles, and vertical angles are congruent. So that's just some of the facts that I can just kind of think of off the top of my head. If you need more, email me back so I can do more and help you out, okay? And if you have any problems at all, please, please, please feel free to email me.